one of those cases that nothing can prepare you for. We've had a lot of distraction in this case for a lot of different, what I'm going to call circumstances that aren't as involved in this matter as the fact that Kyneddi is in fact dead and that the defendant here, Ms. Miller, is responsible for that. All of those circumstances have distracted, in this court's opinion, from the realities of this case as it sits before this court. We've dealt with motions and governor's council and a whole lot of different things that were what I'm going to call side to this. And this court has addressed those issues, and this is time for this court to address the actual underlying situation of Kyneddi's death and this defendant being responsible for it. I've read the pre-sentence investigative report. Mr. Holstein, I noticed the same incongruous statement that you did, in that she disclosed to jail officials that she had been using daily at the time of her initial incarceration and arrest, and these statements to Mr. Swanson that she had only been using, and I want to get this right, 1 to 2 times a year. Both of those can't be true. A child comes into this world not by their choice. They are the circumstance of a series of choices by their parents. And throughout that child, what we hope for is, and what's supposed to happen, is that the parent takes care of and cares for the child. That is human nature. There's an entire chapter of code that is dedicated to exactly that. A parent being responsible for keeping children safe, for getting the medical care, for providing for education, for feeding them, for clothing them, to do the basic functions of parenting for a child. That wasn't done in the case of Kyneddi. It was not done. I have looked at the photographs from the circumstance and the scene in the home, and those are photographs that tell a tale of a child who had not washed her hair, brushed her hair for a significant amount of time, and the level of emaciation of this child, even having read the file, was beyond my level of understanding and comprehension when I saw the photographs. This is not a circumstance that took place over a period of days or even a few weeks. This was long-term, neglect, which in fact became abuse, by not doing what was necessary to ensure that this child was receiving the bare minimum of care, of food, of drink, of hygiene. This child literally starved to death. Her body was not being provided appropriate food and nourishment, so it ate itself. No child should ever have to go through that. There have been arguments in this court that this is something that Kyneddi wished for and wanted. Children wish for and want things that are not in their best interest on a regular basis. And it is the parent's responsibility to ensure that their child is safe and well taken care for, even if the child has expressed a possible interest in not. The level of emaciation for this child was absolutely apparent to the defendant in this matter, with the state of her bones, her skin, her weight, her hair. It couldn't not have been. It couldn't not have been. And a parent's responsibility in that circumstance is to get that child help. That's what the defendant's responsibility was. And she didn't, and she wouldn't. And her child is dead. The defendant has pled guilty to death of a child by parent, guardian, or custodian. And I know that the statute name is longer than that, but that's the statute. That's the shorthand, so to speak, that folks that are involved in the law use on a regular basis. She has pled to maliciously and intentionally inflicting upon a child under her care substantial pain, illness, or any impairment of physical condition by other than accidental means. She has pled to intentionality. She has said in her plea to this court that her actions were intentional. That's the crime that she pled guilty to. And at some point, non-action shifts from innocent, non-intentional, non-action to intention to not act. This child deserved better. This child deserved a mother who provided at the bare minimum enough food that her body didn't eat itself. This child deserved at a bare minimum a mother who, when the child was too weak to get up off the floor, sought medical care for her. At some point, inaction becomes intentional non-action. That is exactly what happened here. This is what the defendant has pled to. And Kyneddi deserved better. And because of that, I'm sentencing her to the indeterminate term of 15 years to the remainder of her natural life in the custody of the Division of Corrections and Rehabilitation. If she is granted a parole after the 15-year term, she shall be placed on a term of 50 years of supervised release with this court. There are no words that I am capable of expressing adequately to convey my sorrow for the circumstance and the situation and the loss of this child who did not deserve what happened to her. And I'm very, very sorry. Your objections are preserved to this court's ruling. The defendant is remanded.